Hello and welcome to my review of the Sisters of Battle Repentia squad from Games Workshop. Now this box set will set you back £30. It's quite a big chunk of money, and for 10 miniatures of this size, regardless of their level of detail, I would have expected to cost £20 or £25, not 30. But still, it contains 9 Repentia and 1 Repentia Superior at the back with the whip, the neural whip. The good news is that if you were to buy 2 box sets of these, they are going to look quite different, both in terms of their poses. Essentially you've got 18 options or so with the Sisters Repentia, and even the Repentia Superior has a different choice of weapons and heads and all the rest of it. So you can rest easy that if you were to buy a second set, the other unit isn't going to look exactly the same as these, which is great. I like all the variation. We'll go through the spare parts in a moment, but firstly, let's have a little look at the box. Nice looking box, quite thin box as well. I think it only had 2 sprues in it from what I can remember. And it has these new bases. I think these are the 28mm bases, which are a little bit bigger than your small 25mm bases, but of course a bit smaller than your typical Primaris 32mm bases. You've got a 32mm base there in the Repentia Superior. So the box is quite decent. It's got a number of options there. You've got the Repentia Superior with the neural whip. You've also got her kind of with a book outstretched, but I feel that it's too high up to serve any purpose, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't choose that. Her face is, yeah, very anguished too, which, yeah, I guess that works, you know, cracking that whip there. And the poses for the Sisters Repentia, they're pretty decent poses. They are all females, of course, if you didn't already know. And the back of the box shows, you know, some of the different options that you can go with. Let's have a look at these models individually. You've got a myriad of options in the instruction book, which actually does quite a good job at offering you all of the options to go through. You can have the Repentia Superior with a clenched fist, with one of the whips coiled, with a coiled whip on the reverse, reading a book, all kinds of things, and she comes with 2 different head options. Then it goes through the sisters. Now there are 9 Sisters Repentia in this set, and each one you can choose 2 different options, and so you can go through the whole of the instruction guide picking either the blue option or the green, and then the next one you can pick, you know, the blue or the green again. It really is up to you whichever you like the look of. It's personal preference, and I think if I were to get a second set, which is quite likely, I would go for the alternate poses so that I could have 2 squads, 2 units that looked very different. And yes, I probably would go with the book and the clenched fist in the next pose for the Repentia Superior, just to change that pose up. So the box is great. The instruction guide is very straightforward and simple to go through. Let's have a look at these miniatures individually. So these are the poses I've gone for. You won't have too much of an issue with mould lines unless you glue the models and then try and get the mould lines off afterwards. So this is the first Sister Repentia I've gone for. These big double-handed penitent eviscerator chainswords are incredible. We'll go through the rules in a moment, but they're essentially doubles the strength of the user. They're AP -3 and a damage of 2. However, because they're so big, you have to subtract 1 from the hit roll. So they don't really have any armor, as you can see. They've just got the t-shirt saves, which is the 7+. But lovely poses, a fair bit of detail on them. They are a bit spindly to put together. And especially the ones that only are supported with 1 leg. My best advice is to follow the instruction guide, do everything, and then once it's all complete, then glue it onto the base. But yeah, some of the poses are amazing in terms of action poses. You got this one here, charging with all of these flails at the back. But yeah, each one is different, and kind of what I was expecting and out of this box set. I much prefer this box set to the Arcoflagellants, put it that way. And this one with the Eviscerator held up high. This one. We'll have a look at the spare parts in a moment, but you do get 3, not that many, but 3 purity seals with the ribbons. This one. Some of the ones with the arms held all the way back are very tricky to put together. But these ones with the chainswords lowered, quite straightforward to put together. And then finally this one. That's a bit of an odd pose. Did I go through this one? Can't remember. But yeah, I like the poses and the speed at which these models are trying to show with their poses. And then finally the Repentia Superior, lovely miniature. We're going to do a comparison with the Sisters of Battle Army set Repentia squad in a moment. In that set you only got 4 Sisters Repentia, but you did get a different Repentia Superior, which I think actually looks better. But there you go. This is the big neural whip, and then she's got one there. She's got the pistol. Just got to be a bit careful. It's not too delicate, but I would be careful because if that snaps, it's going to be a bit of a pain to put back together. So that is the whole unit. Let's have a look at the spare parts. You get a fair few spare parts, as you can see. Look, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 optional eviscerators. I don't know what you could use these for, but it just goes to show you that you get 9 Sisters Repentia and you get 9 optional eviscerator chainswords. So that just goes to show you can, if you were to make the other 9, you could choose these chainswords instead. But they follow a similar theme, and they've got icons and wards and things running along the flanks of the chainsword, and then some are adorned, and some are additionally adorned with purity seals and ribbons. Lots of nice detail, and the teeth are pretty cool too. This is one of the coiled neural whips, an optional one for the Repentia Superior. This is the little book. I guess that you can have this on many other sisters. It's got a fleur-de-lis icon on the front cover. You've got a fair number of heads. I'm guessing you've got 10 heads. 3, 4, 5, 10. I was right. So you've got 10 heads there. Clearly there's the spare head for the Repentia Superior right here. Quite a small one. And then you've got the other heads for all the Repentia sisters. And then you've got various little icons and things that you could have placed on the second variants of them. And you've got 1 extra leg, which is this bionic leg. You only get 1, which is a bit poor, but there we go, at least you get 1. And then you get the different arms that would correspond with these Penitent Eviscerator chainswords, if you were to make the mirrored 9 of these models. So that's all the spare parts. Let's go straight into the comparisons. So straight away, I just want to compare them to the other Sisters Repentia from the Army box set, which is right here. Here they all are. You've got this Repentia Superior, which I do believe is a better Repentia Superior, on the same size base, but the whip is in a much more dynamic pose, I think. I like it coiled behind her, but I also like it up to a point, and she's also got the other one in held in her hand, and it actually, they both work in terms of action, but I just like this one. There's so much more detail on this one here in terms of the detail on all the armour and the their clothing and the braziers, more detail on the power plant, and she's even got the helmet there as well, which isn't really an option for the other Repentia Superior. So yeah, this one wins in my opinion. I much prefer this, the look of this one. Now, comparing the actual Repentia sisters themselves though, in the army set, you're getting two that are almost identical except for their heads, which does suck, and they're not in the best poses, and then these two as well. This one's in an alright pose, and this one I think the angles are a bit wrong. I mean, if we compare it to the other one, this one possibly from the main set, I prefer. They are very similar, but I think that just the angles work a bit better in the main set. But still, this is the best pose in the army set, if you want to go down that route, in my opinion. So yeah, the actual box set, other than the Repentia Superior, the box set, the actual core models I find are superior in the poses. But what do you guys think? Put your comments down below. It'd be great to hear your thoughts and opinions. Okay, so you've seen them next to their kin. Let's just show you them next to a normal Sisters of Battle. So here is a normal Sisters of Battle. They are a similar kind of height. I mean, they were Sisters of Battle, so they should be the same height. This is just a normal Sisters of Battle on the right. Very similar, if not the same height there. Some of the poses, of course, make them look shorter, but that is just the pose. And yeah, look at the Repentia Superior, same height. Compared to other models like the Canon S, Canon S is going to stand out even amongst the Repentia Superior, even though they're on the same base. But the Canon S will stand out, adorned in all of the finery. And then next to an anchorite, you know, you could have the support the anchorite in close combat when charging, but the anchorite does tower above them. And then I always like to put a comparison with Saint Celestine in with the models, and yeah, Saint Celestine hovers above them all, raising their hopes and dreams. Finally, the last two comparisons I always like to make are just with the Space Marine. So you've got a Space Marine here. Let's kind of pick the tallest model because she's in that action pose. If we look at the tallest one, she is actually taller than the Space Marine, but that is the pose more than anything. If we were to look at a normal one in a lower pose, she is shorter. But it's all about the poses with these. There's such dynamic models that comparing them to these stoic, upright Space Marines is a bit, yeah, it's not a fair comparison. I mean, even the Primaris, she at that full height is almost as tall as the Primaris, which is quite shocking. So it just goes to show you how a model's pose can really influence the perception of their actual size. So I hope all those size comparisons have helped and that was interesting. This is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules found in the Sisters of Battle Codex. So you'll find them in the elite section of the Sisters of Battle Codex. They are a power points cost of 2 and a points cost of 13 per model. The Repentia Superior costing 35 points on her own. The elite section is quite crowded in the Sisters of Battle army. You've got everything from Preachers to the Gemini Superior, the Celestian squads, the Zephyrim squads, the Dialogus, and the Hospitaller, along with the Imagifiers, Crusaders, Death Cult Assassins, and another close combat specialist squad, the Arcoflagellants. So it is the most hotly contested section in the Codex. So it really helps to do your homework on making a decision of what elite choice you're going to take into battle. The Repentia Superior and the Sisters of Repentia are actually two separate elite choices. However, if your army is battle forged, then the Repentia Superior doesn't take a slot up in a detachment that includes any Sisters Repentia unit. So you can kind of get out of that if it is battle forged. So the Repentia Superior, I'll go through the rules first. She is a power points cost of 2 and a points cost of 35. Her movement speed is 6 inches. Weapon skill and ballistic skill are both 3+. Strength 3, toughness 3, 4 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 8, and a save of 3+. That's quite solid. She's equipped with neural whips, frag grenades, and crack grenades. 6. It doesn't say that she's equipped with a bolt pistol, so this model can additionally be equipped with a bolt pistol. I don't know why you have to have that as an option, but bolt pistols are free anyway. I would give her a bolt pistol just in case. They work as normal, but these neural whips are a melee weapon that you may not have heard before. The strength is a user, which would be 3, the AP is -2, and the damage is 1. But where they really shine is in their ability when resolving an attack made with this weapon against a unit other than a vehicle, in which a model has a leadership characteristic higher than a 7, you add 1 to the wound roll. That's quite decent. If the leadership is higher than the 7, which a lot of units are, then you get you add 1 to that wound. So it just helps it wound better, which it will need because it is only strength 3. The frag grenades and crack grenades work as usual. And her abilities: Axe of Faith, Sacred Rites and Shield of Faith. She's getting that invulnerable save. Scourge of the Penitent, which is just if the army is battle forged, then the model does not take up a slot in the detachment that includes any Sisters Repentia unit. I've already mentioned that. And then the other ability is Driven Onwards. You can re-roll advance rolls and charge rolls made for friendly Sisters Repentia units whilst they are within 6 inches of this model. You can also re-roll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made with melee weapons by models in friendly Sisters Repentia units whilst their unit is within 6 inches of this model. So she's really a buff unit to have with your Sisters Repentia. I would seriously suggest bringing her with you, because not only has she got those 4 attacks and she's got 4 wounds, she can lend her own attacks into a charge. She's also going to be re-rolling the advance rolls and charge rolls, and re-rolling the wound rolls of a 1, which might help them, even though those eviscerators are bumping up the strength to 6, but it may well help them. The keywords is Imperium, Adeptus Ministorum, Adeptus Sororitas, Character Infantry and Repentia Superior. Then we move on to the Sisters Repentia, which are a separate unit in their own right, but of course can include the Repentia Superior. So they are a power points cost of a 2, and as I've previously mentioned, they will cost 13 points per model. Their stat line reads: a movement of 6 inches, weapon skill and ballistic skill both 3+, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, 2 attacks, leadership 8, and a save of 7+. So they're only getting that 7+ t-shirt save. However, they do have their Shield of Faith, so they're still getting a 6+ invulnerable. The unit contains 4 Sisters Repentia, so that little unit in the Sisters Army is legal. It can additionally contain up to 5 Sisters Repentia, and every model is equipped with a Penitent Eviscerator. That's it, no ranged weapons at all. Now, what is so special about this Penitent Eviscerator? Well, it's a strength ×2, so their strength is now 6. AP is -3, damage is 2, and when resolving an attack made with this weapon, you subtract 1 from the hit roll, so that's not so good. But their weapon skill is 3+, so, you know, you've still got a 50-50 chance with it going to a 4+. And with some miracle dice, you could help turn the tide of battle with those rolls too. The abilities: Axe of Faith, Sacred Rites and Shield of Faith and Zealot. It is quite odd for units to have all of those abilities and Zealot. It's quite rare. Usually they just have the 3 main ones. They've also got an ability of Martyrdom. When the unit is destroyed, you gain 1 miracle dice. That's quite nice, but it is the whole unit, not per model. Imagine if it was per model. And then Solace in Anguish. When a model in this unit would lose a wound, you roll a d6, and on a 5+, that wound is not lost. So that's quite decent. So they've got a 6+ invulnerable save, and then also when they lose that wound, you get a 5+ kind of feel no pain. They do only have 1 wound though. They are squishy at toughness 3, and they don't have any ranged weaponry. They do have 2 attacks each, so if you manage to get all 9 of these girls into combat, you are going to push out 18 attacks at strength 6, AP -3 and damage 2, which is nice. And remember that you can re-roll the wound rolls of a 1 if you've got that Repentia Superior. So keywords: Imperium, Adeptus Ministorum, Adeptus Sororitas, Infantry and Sisters Repentia. So there you go. That is my full review of the Repentia squad from Games Workshop, which includes the Sisters Repentia and a Repentia Superior. They are a decent unit. You can put them in a Rhino. You can put them in a Rhino or a immolator or something like that to cart them across the battlefield, which is nice, unlike the Arcoflagellants, which is where they kind of beat them on that resolve. However, the Arcoflagellants do have a better strength, do have more wounds, and they can pump out a lot more attacks. And they also have the 5+ feel no pain, the same as the Repentia do. However, the Arcoflagellants lose, a supporting unit that can buff them, and they lose an invulnerable save. So out of the two fragile units, it's up to you whether you want a unit that has higher strength, better AP attacks, but a lower amount, and that has an invulnerable save and is buffed by the superior, or whether you want the other fragile unit that has more wounds but can pump out more attacks but hasn't got a transport option. But what do you guys think of the Sisters Repentia? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below. It'd be great to hear from you. I absolutely love this unit and the squad and everything about them. I think they're fantastic. I've always admired the metal models, and I've longed to have some in plastic, and I'm pleased that I do. This unit is definitely on my top list of getting a second box set of, because they were quite straightforward to put together, and you're not going to have any repeats of the models if you get a second unit. So thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.